I'm going to run through some mobility with you today. You can leave this video on, have it in the background playing. I'm going to put on some nice music and do voiceovers over the movements so you'll know how long you're doing them for and a few tips and pointers while you're doing them. So find some space. You just need enough that you can stretch yourself out. Some quiet for about 20 minutes if possible. If you have kids running around or maybe you can't get 20 minutes of quiet time, that's also fine. Just something to make sure that you're keeping your body stretched while you're doing all of these home workouts yourself. So join along, have this playing in the background, and I hope you enjoy it. Tuck your right leg into your thigh and stretch down over your left leg. Don't hunch over, bring your shoulders back, and even if you can only get down a little bit, that's fine. Go to the point where you feel the stretch and then focus on your breathing. Take deep breaths in and out, and as you exhale, try and push the movement just a little bit further, but still keeping that back nice and flat. We're going to hold this position for 2 minutes. If you feel like you can't go any further forward, try pulling your toes up towards yourself, and you should feel that stretch a little bit more in through the back of your hamstrings and your calves. So we've come to the end of that 2 minutes. So sit up, bring your leg in nice and slow, and we're going to switch over to the other side. Same again, sit up nice and straight, then lean forward, trying to keep your shoulders back, just to that point where you can feel the stretch, and then really focus on your breathing. Most people have one side that's not as flexible as the other, so don't feel bad if you can't get as deep into this stretch as you maybe did on the other side. Everyone's different, so yours might not look like mine, might be more flexible or less flexible. We're just trying to get a little stretch in. For another 30 seconds, and then we'll switch. stretch the inside of our thighs, so pop your feet together as if you're going to do a sit-up. And press your knees down just with the muscles in your legs. Don't physically force them to go down. Pull those shoulders back, and if you can, lean forward and feel that stretch. We're going to hold the stretch for another 2 minutes. So focus on your breathing, deep breath in, and as you exhale, try and pull yourself a little bit further to the ground. Another deep breath in, and a big exhale, pushing yourself a little bit further forward if you can. You don't want to be holding your breath during these stretches at all. The more you hold your breath, the less relaxed your body is. So when you take that inhale, you should be filling your lungs, fill your belly, and as you exhale, you should be pushing into that stretch. Your muscles relaxed, really feeling it in every bit. We're going to come up out of that stretch and move on to the next one, which will be a pigeon stretch. Most of you should know this one. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see it a little bit better. Left leg out in front, pushing down over top of it. If you need to bring your knee in closer to your pelvis, that's fine. But if you can, keep it out so that it's perpendicular to your body. Don't let your hips roll over to the side. Keep them over top of your leg. You'll feel the stretch better in this. If you're finding that it's comfortable, then we want to be pushing ourselves that little bit more. So you can come down onto your elbows if possible. Otherwise, you can stay up on your hands or sitting upright. Like I said before, everyone's different. So do the stretch as it works for you. We've got another minute in this position. In this position, so you can roll out onto your bum, swap your legs over so that we can do the same stretch on the other side. Get your legs in that same position, keeping your hips over top of your leg, and go down as far as your body will let you. still keep your focus on your breathing, taking those nice long inhales and deep deliberate exhales to help you get deeper into the movement, pushing your pelvis to the floor. If you're finding it easy, you can adjust your feet as necessary. Likewise, if you're finding it hard, take a mini break, a matter of 2 seconds, and reset yourself and get back into that position. Finished in that position, so you can roll back onto your bum, bring your legs out, and we're going to do a 3-position lunge. So the first position, we're going to get our legs 90 degrees and tilt our pelvis forward. So we really want this as a hip flexor movement. If you unflex it, you can lean into it, and that's more of a hamstring stretch. So we want to be working on our hip flexors. So tilt your pelvis forward and just push to the point, which probably isn't very far, just so you feel that stretch in your right leg. This one for a minute, so we're going to go into the second point of the lunge, so you can relax that hip and then lean forward. So you should feel this in the hamstring of your left leg. So you can then drop your hands to the floor if possible and really push down, pushing your pelvis towards the floor so that left leg gets a really good stretch in the back of its hamstring. For the third part of the stretch, you're going to bring your leg and turn it towards kind of where your bum is, and you're going to come into the middle of where your lunge is, and you're going to lean forward. If you can only go onto your hands, that's fine. Otherwise, try and push yourself down onto your elbows. Again, pushing your pelvis to the floor and feeling that stretch in your hamstring. side done, and now we are going to do the 3 points again on our right side. So into that 90 degrees, tilting the pelvis forward and feeling it in your hip flexor. Finished on point 1, we're now going to go into point 2 of our lunge, releasing that hip and pressing forward into the lunge, getting our hands to the floor if we can. If you want to get more of a hip stretch out of this than a hamstring stretch, then just pull your left knee back a little bit further away from your front foot and push that pelvis forward. Finished in that second position, so we're going to swing our leg around just like we did in the first one and push yourself as close to the ground as possible on your hands or your elbows, feeling the stretch in your right hamstring. Out of that lunge, we're going to do a little stretch on our quads. So bring both your feet together and tuck your toes underneath and slowly lean back till your hands are touching the floor, and you should feel a stretch in both your quads. If you can't do this, you can lean up against a couch, or if you have a wall ball, you can rest on that. There's a few different scaling options if you can't quite get down low enough. If the distance between your hands being on the floor and your elbows being on the floor is too much, just squeeze your glutes and you should feel a bit more of a stretch in your quads. If you drive your pelvis forward, then you should feel a massive stretch in the front of your quads. That stretch, and we're going to go into our final one. Tuck your feet together behind you and then have your hips over top of your knees, not going back into the stretch but going down. put your hands on the floor in front of you, and as you inhale and exhale, try and go a little bit further, trying to push your pelvis towards the floor without letting it fall back behind you. You can let your knees slide out a little bit further than where you started, as long as they're still in line with your hips. Slowly bring your legs together, coming up out of that stretch, and that concludes our stretch for today. Hope everyone enjoyed that little stretch today. 20 minutes is a long time to be stretching, so thanks for sticking it out. And if you did like this, let us know, and I can do an upper body one maybe next week. Try and get your stretching in as much as you're getting your workouts in, and just make sure you're still moving and taking care of your bodies. Hope everyone's having a lovely day, and we'll see you soon.